So I've been looking into the history of the foundation of mathematics, right? And I find it unreasonable how much influence Bertrand Russell had over fucking everything. Why? Why? What the fuck? Like, he's over there, like, just saying wrong shit all over the place, and people are telling him that he's wrong, but somehow there's, like, this just huge populist movement that grew up around him and was like, yes, everything he says was right. Why? What? Like, he, along with Alfred Whitehead, claimed to prove that 1 plus 1 is 2. But it's trivial to demonstrate that that's impossible because, so, like, the whole thing that's going on with, like, Pressburger's arithmetic, where you have Peano arithmetic and you just remove multiplication so that it's now decidable. That's what you want. You want decidability because of the way logicism works. We're trying to base mathematics in logic, in these formal logical systems where you have a set of axioms and everything is provable with respect to those axioms. Never mind the fact that the axioms themselves are just random ass things that you asserted that may or may not be true. That's irrelevant. That part doesn't matter. It still proves that it. The fucking okay. So that was good for this whole like project, right? But then, and that was in 1929 when Pressburger came out with that. I think he was like 18 years old or something. Like smarter than I am for sure. But still. Like 2 years later, Kurt Gödel comes out with his incompleteness theorems, where basically he demonstrates that if we're dealing with Peano arithmetic as a whole and multiplication is included, then it's undecidable, and that's a fucking problem. But we can show that arithmetic over numbers is undecidable in the first fucking place, just by talking to a 5-year-old child, because they can demonstrate to you that 1 plus 1 is undecidable, because they're aware that 1 cup of flour plus 1 cup of flour is 2 cups of flour. That's true. So 1 plus 1 equals 2 has now been demonstrated to us. But 1 cup of flour plus 1 egg is not 2 of anything. Therefore, not 1 plus 1 equals 2 has been demonstrated. And because we can prove both of these, it's not even a proof. We actually physically demonstrated it. So it's more powerful than a logical proof. The fact that we can do that, we know it's undecidable. Concretely, it's a fact of the universe that's undecidable. It isn't something that you would prove in a logical system. You don't require it because you can demonstrate them. This is way more powerful than you prove. But we end up in this world where Bertrand Russell is like praised as this brilliant, brilliant person. And really, the only reason he's even in this situation is because he was British aristocracy. He was rich. His family's status is pretty much the only reason that he's actually famous. It's the only reason that he had the opportunity to become where he was. It wasn't his wit. Oh, like what the fuck? What the fuck? On the one hand, like the entire since probably what, like 1890, somewhere in that ballpark. Um, just said it a little bit later, more reasonable, maybe around 1900. Since about 1900, so the last 120 odd years, the foundation of mathematics It's been this system that claims that 1 + 1 is true. At that point, it assumed it's provable, and then as of 1910, it had been claimed that it was sort of claimed that it was proven ish. It's a complicated thing. I don't understand why people are like, "Oh, it was proven," because even in Principia Mathematica, it doesn't claim to prove it. It just says that it can be proven from this. Yeah, and granted, in that logical system, you can prove it, but it's still wrong because your axioms are wrong. Like, what the fuck happened? How did everybody, like, these are truly, like, most of them. I don't think Bertrand Russell is an example, but these are truly brilliant people for the most part, right? Like Moishe Pressburger, Kurt Gödel, David Hilbert, probably even Alfred Whitehead. I'm not really that familiar with his work, but like for the most part, these are smart-ass people. How did they miss this? How did they miss that 1 + 1 isn't 2? That you can't just take numbers and add them together. That's not how math works. Math is about vectors. Math is about units. When we're doing a unit conversion from 4 inches to centimeters, right, and we take 4 inches and we multiply it by 2.54 centimeters per inch, we can rearrange that so it's 4 times 2.54 centimeters on one hand, and inch divided by inch. There's not even numbers there. It's just inch divided by inch. And those cancel off and give us the multiplicative identity, the dimensionless multiplicative identity of 1. How does that work? How are you able to divide a unit by itself? A bare-ass unit by itself. Maybe you can argue that it's 1 inch per 1 inch. Sure, that's fine. And now it's a vector. If you really want to go down that path, that's fine. But as long as you have the same number on the top and the bottom of the unit, it doesn't change anything. Right? 10 inches per 10 inches. 1,000,000,000 inches per 1,000,000,000 inches. It doesn't matter. So do you even need a number there at all? Because if you have something everywhere, it's not really there. And if you have something everywhere, it's not really there. So if it's a unit or a number, that still applies either way. So it should still be it should still work as a unit divided by itself. But we can't do this with just bare numbers. You can do that with just bare numbers, but you can't do really anything in math with just bare numbers. But you can do things with bare units, right? So the two components of a vector, the unit and the number component, one of them can be stripped away, and the remaining component, the unit, right, is okay. You can still do math with that. This is interesting. This is very different from the foundation of mathematics that we're operating with currently. Like, for instance, 0 cannot possibly be a number. Yeah, this is one that I think I've just realized recently. 0 can't possibly be a number because it is the intersection point of all of the possible dimensions at once, which means it exists in all of those dimensions simultaneously. All, like, infinite possible dimensions. Right? All SpongeBob characters, that's a dimension. Right? Speed, that's another dimension. Right? Mass, that's a dimension. Right? Whatever the fuck. It exists at the intersection of all of those dimensions, right? Because say you have an empty room, okay? It's completely empty. You can make it even vacuum. I don't give a fuck, right? So it's like a box with fucking nothing in it, okay? How many elephants are in there? 0. How many stellar mass black holes are in there? 0. How many kangaroos are in there? 0. How many books about libertarianism are in there? 0. So it's the same. It's the same 0 for every possible dimension. So 0 is a vector, fundamentally. Then that's why you can add 0 willy-nilly, because it doesn't matter what your units are, because 0 is naturally has all of the units. So it can just be like, oh, we're working in inches? That's fine. We're working in, kilometers per year? That's fine. Whatever the fuck. But that's a radically different system than what we have currently. What is the current foundation of math? Even though like all of the shit that is math was like pretty much done before this point. So in what way is it a foundation anyway? But yeah. Interesting. See, and I don't know. I don't know at all if like Gödel's incompleteness theorems matter if we reconstruct the foundations of math this way, or if something analogous occurs, or what, or if there is no problem with incompleteness if you build it correctly. No idea. I suspect that something, either the incompleteness theorems as they are, or something very closely related to them, still applies. But fuck if I know. But yeah, we can't. It's gonna be a while before anybody can find out because of the outsized influence of this British aristocrat who, yeah, he was better spoken than me, but I think he might have been dumber than me, and I'm pretty fucking dumb. So, god damn it.